My story is that I was born a refugee. My parents ran away from Burundi in 1972 and they went to Congo, and that's where I was born 7 years later. And I lived all my life in the refugee camps in Congo, in Tanzania, in Zambia, and my last refugee camp was in Malawi when I was 27 years old. That's when I got out of the refugee camp. The sense of identity is really difficult to really grasp as someone like me, because I grew up thinking, when I was growing up, I thought I was a normal child until, the kids from the Congolese side, they would just tease me to say, "You're not wanted here. This is not your land." And I was like, "Oh, am I different?" So I grew up really feeling like I don't belong, I'm not wanted. And yet I didn't choose to be born a refugee. But the more teasing I got, the more insults I got, that pushed me to really explore about Burundi and feel like I need to embrace this. And so I believe I grew up really with that kind of feeling that although I'm not wanted in these countries, I am a Burundian and I need to love that. So I consider myself as a refugee from Burundi. Being a refugee in itself, one, that the circumstances that have brought you to the refugee camp were not your choice. You were forced to leave your country, or your parents were forced to leave. So you live with a sense of feeling like this is not home. But the people who live in the vicinity of the refugee camps, especially in Africa, are equally poor. But the poverty is quite normal because they live in their environment. So sometimes you kind of feel like, okay, yes, I'm a refugee, I'm not home, but people surrounding me are equally poor. They don't have the resources that they need. So you kind of sympathize sometimes. I mean, in terms of the reason for resentment over refugees for the people, especially in the UK, I really don't know where it comes from. I wish someone would explain to me. But when you hear about European refugee crisis, you're talking about 6% of the overall displaced people in the world. But the majority of displaced people, forcibly displaced people, 86% of them, they live in developing countries. So, and you guys have a lot to share. You don't have to, change your lifestyles, but you have enough to share with the people, to show compassion and to love the strangers. So I wish someone really told me, where is the fear? Really painful to hear. It brings really some bad feelings in me, because I feel like people are running away from the sense of being human. Humanity, we are compassionate. We understand that these people who are running away from their countries, they didn't choose to. Yes, Europe is great, America is great, the West is great, but being in your home, it's something else that many people don't understand. So what I feel like, when people feel like they're superior and they feel like everyone wants what they have, I don't know, maybe wrong. I feel like that can be something that they feel like we're superior, therefore we don't want anyone to come here. We would rather, close our borders. But to me, that is running away from being human. Humans, we are wired to be compassionate, to feel the pain of other people, to do something to help, no matter what it takes. The book is really the story, my journey across Africa to find a place called home. It's how it felt being born a refugee, what happened to my dad, and the whole story. It's not just, it illustrates the refugee crisis in the world just by telling a story of one person. And I want people to really know what it means to be a refugee and the best way that they can help. Because there are people who want to help, but they don't know how to best help. So that's all that I'm trying to convey, the message I'm trying to convey. And it's also an income generating tour, because we need more funding to help refugees back in Malawi. So every coin that comes through the sales of the book is going to help send refugees, but also Malawians, to send them to universities. I feel like the Diocese of London, or the church in the UK, has been silent for a long time, and I believe they have a voice that can be heard, both to influence the policies of government, but mostly to show compassion. When I think of the church in the West, I feel like the nations are on our doorsteps. They are knocking, and we're choosing to say no. So I'd want the church to say yes and to do something. I don't know where I would be had it been the church in my life. And then, most importantly, when I was in Malawi, a local church in the capital came to the refugee camp and said, we want to do something. And they helped me. They took me to the Bible school. It's when I was at the Bible school that my horizons opened. I saw the world with different lenses. And I said, no, this is too good to keep to myself. I need to do something. Then I was inspired to start an organization that will go back into the refugee camp and help many get the same experience that I got. It has been 10 years since I founded There Is Hope. It's amazing to see what we have done with the little resources that we have. It's just unbelievable. And I pray that God will bring more people to support the work that we do, so that we can really give hope to thousands, if not millions, of people across the globe.